So my book review was on Hello Ruby: Adventures in Coding. So what this book is about is that it introduces fundamentals of logical thinking. So it helps children learn how to break down bigger problems into smaller ones, step-by-step planning, and creative thinking. This book was written by Linda Lucas. So about the author, Linda Lucas, she is a computer programmer. She has been interested in creating websites ever since she was young. And how she came about making this book was that she had difficulty with the programming language Ruby. And so for her to be able to figure out her own problems, she started drawing pictures to any difficulty that she came across for this programming language. So in her drawings, she featured a little girl named Ruby, and whenever she came across a problem, Linda would think, how would Ruby solve this? And according to that question, she would draw more pictures, and she was able to show her drawings to her friends, and her friends were the ones who encouraged her to make this book for little kids. So a review about this book. Like I said in the introduction, this book helps young minds break down the process of thinking, and it helps them break it down into steps that are easier to follow. So the storyline helps with creative thinking by posing simple problems like how to get a gem off of the roof. And for this part in the story, Ruby helps her snow leopard friend get the gem off the roof by making a ladder out of sticks and rope. So this story, it helps children be able to solve problems by thinking about the problem step by step. And towards the back of the book, there are a lot of activities that parents can work with their children, and it helps with more logical thinking, and it's activities that they can print out or activities that involve drawing or coloring, and it helps the children be able to solve a mystery or solve a problem by having to think logically. They also offer more activities on their website, helloruby.com. And the themes for this book that Lucas focuses on is break big problems into small ones, repeat tasks, look for patterns, create step-by-step plans, and think outside the box. So I broke it down into the themes. Break down big problems into small ones. A good example of this one was when Ruby had to help out her fox friends. So when she comes across the garden's a mess. The foxes are, going back and forth trying to do everything by themselves. And what she does is she ends up getting their attention and takes the lead. So I have a quote here from the book. It says, you, and you're the planters. You need a bag of seeds. If the hole is empty, drop in 1 carrot seed. If there's already a seed, move on. Keep going until you hit the end of the row, then move to the next row. Repeat the whole thing 5 times. So she ends up giving each fox their own role for the garden, and it pretty much organizes their tasks. So the next theme, repeat tasks. This one, I saw more of her repeating tasks by helping her friends finish their tasks. So one of the examples I chose was when she decided to help her robot friends bake cupcakes. So I have the quote, "Once you've found a good recipe, you make hundreds of cupcakes, and recipes get better when you share them. You make friends when you share." So just by saying hundreds of cupcakes, you already know that this task they're going to be baking over and over and over again. The next theme is looking for patterns. So the pattern of the storyline I found was that Ruby is searching for the gems that her father has left behind for her to find. And there's also another pattern in the storyline where Ruby builds objects with sticks and rope. So the first thing she built with sticks and rope was a raft. And then she built the ladder, and then the last thing she built was a bridge. Next theme, create step-by-step plans. The very first part of the book that I was able to come across for this theme was when Ruby had to make a step-by-step plan or a map to go on a search for the gems that her father has left her. The last theme, think outside the box. So Ruby was able to think outside the box when she helped the foxes with her gardening. She was able to think outside the box when she made the ladder to help the snow leopard paint his house and get the gem off from the roof. And she was also able to think outside the box when she had to make the bridge towards the very end of the story when she had to cross over the river. So the analysis. Hello Ruby had events that promoted logical thinking, but in my opinion, some of the events were not very strong examples. I have a subtext here where the story with the robots and baking cupcakes, it taught more of the concept of sharing rather than sticking to any of the themes that Lucas had chosen for this book. And the book title says Adventures in Coding, but nowhere in the storyline did it have anything to do with coding except for breaking things down in step-by-step processes. And in one example or event in the book is where Ruby helps the foxes with gardening. It had 4 out of the 5 themes, so I really liked that example of the or part in the story. So break down big problems into small ones. It says every fox trying to do every role, and then she was able to assign each fox a specific role. Repeat tasks. For that example, each fox had to seed the row, or had to seed each hole and do every row until they were done with the garden. Look for patterns. The foxes had to look for empty holes so they can put a seed in it, or they had to look for holes that were already seeded. Create step-by-step plans. Ruby was able to break down the roles for each fox, and she told them what they needed to do and how they needed to do that task. So for the conclusion, I thought the book was very colorful. It was very enjoyable to read. Something that children would love to actually read and do the activities for. I thought the activities that they added towards the end of the book were very helpful. It has very simply written instruction for the parents to follow and for the kids to follow. The storyline, I feel like it could have given better examples of how to think more logically, maybe more examples of bigger problems that could have been approached in different ways. And pretty much the book, it exposed children to learning how to work in a team. It taught children how to share. It taught them how to think outside the box, and it did help how to think logically in certain situations or how to solve a problem. So that was my book review for Hello Ruby: Adventures in Coding. Thanks for listening.